Are you interested in building water features professionally? Whether you have an existing contracting business or are looking for a fun and profitable side hustle, then you found the perfect podcast to follow. I'm Greg Whitstock, the Pond Guy, founder of Aquascape Inc., and this is my podcast. Each episode profiles the journey of a successful certified aquascape contractor whose best practices you can emulate. I love my job, and here's how you can too. I appreciate this, Diego, and this will teach anybody who wants to speak up. Maybe they should think twice before speaking up.
I learned a lesson, I'll tell you that.
So for everybody joining in here, this is Diego, the owner of Fontana Water Features up in beautiful British Columbia. And I had asked on the Certified Aquascape Contractor Facebook page who would like to see the podcasts come back. And pretty much everybody said yes. And then Diego kind of went off on a soapbox and said, make them longer and be more in depth and everything else. And I said, all right, let's start with you. And you said yes. And here we are today.
Yeah. No, I just thought, like I really enjoyed the old podcast a lot, especially when people got into numbers and because that stuff helps me as a contractor, right?
Yeah.
And so I thought, if they're a little longer, I'd love to hear the Joey Genovese and the Jack Caryus and even Brian Helfrich, get him on there, because so it's good for everybody. So,
well, thank you for the encouragement and thank you for being the guinea pig in the new format. And I guess my goal with this format is for people to know at least a little bit about you that I know. And I'd like to, in your own words, share with them so they can get a chance to know the 2021 you and your partner Dan, Aquascape Artists of the Year. And so let's just get right into it. It's crazy to think that there's already, been two other artists since you. The last one, of course, being Sean, that you were part of the voting process before the last two, really. Yes. And then before that was Ralph Bezad. And here's what I want to start off with you on this. Because when Ralph got nominated right after you did, a lot of people said, oh, that's just a good old boys club, because everybody knows that he's friends with a couple of the past artists of the year, Jack Caryus and Alan Decker, and had done a number of jobs. And you were out there and going like, hey, I was not part of this quote unquote good old boys club. I had actually never, which I felt awful about because of COVID and the fact that you're in another country. I had never actually visited your projects when you actually won.
Yeah, and I think I had talked to Brian once, and Ed Ballou maybe once, so I don't know any of these guys. So that was a surprise. I'm not gonna lie. Like we were kind of, whoa, okay, that's pretty cool. We were hoping that one day, maybe 5 years from now or whatever, we would hopefully achieve something like that. But it came a little bit. It happened a little bit sooner than I thought, and I'm really grateful for it. And now I feel like the pressure is there to prove yourself as the artist and to continue getting better. So I only feel like it encourages us to get better. That's definitely how both Dan and I feel about that one. So yeah.
So let's start a little bit with, well, it was very deserved. You hadn't been around for a super long time, but you guys have been in business for a little while. Why don't you just talk a little bit about the structure of and the unique relationship, because you guys are definitely do some of the same things, but you also have different hats in the business. Just a little bit about the history of Fontana Water Features, if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? I started out, I wanted to be a pilot. I started out, I went and got a landscaping job, thought I'd get a truck on the weekends. I'd do some side work and pay for my pilot's license. My aspirations changed. At the time, Dan and I were friends. He got me a job at his landscape company that he was working at. And then we both kind of went our own separate ways and started our own businesses.
Give me the time frame of this.
So in 2011 and 2012, both Dan and I started our own kind of lawn care and maybe a little bit of landscape construction business. So we started out in maintenance. We were in our early 20s. And then 2014, we were kind of like, hey, are you hitting a wall with this business? And I was like, yeah, kind of. It's just not really finding what we were, I think whatever I was expecting, which was like big growth and huge profits. And so we were like, let's team up. And then that was really good. So Dan and I, we partnered up, and he was going to run the maintenance and I was going to run the hardscape side. I was starting to develop a passion for hardscape. I had built one water feature at that point, and it's probably the ugliest thing. I'll send you pictures of it one day if I find them. Is probably the ugliest first water feature I've ever seen. I mean, I've seen some come through, and I'm like, I think I got the winner for the ugliest one. I was just not happy with it, and I knew that I liked the water. And then Dan and I built a water feature together one time, and that thing wasn't very pretty either. And then, but we got the bug a little bit, you know. As the years went on, we started actually looking at our numbers. We were using Landscape Management Network (LMN), and that was when it sort of went off. Like, man, we are not charging enough. We don't know we don't know our overhead. We don't know how to recover this. So we looked at both sides of the business, maintenance and hardscape, and we decided to get rid of maintenance because maintenance was not making us money, and we were already more expensive than others.
What year did you get rid of maintenance?
2017, we sold a bunch of maintenance commercial contracts that we had, and well, we got 30 grand out of it. Somebody else bought them to go lose money on it, I guess. I don't know, but it seemed to work for them. So and we were losing passion for that too. We wanted to be creative. You know, the creativity was going. We wanted to just do hardscape and design, and then we started building water features into every design, and then those yards were cooler and more enjoyed than other yards. And we thought, man, like these elements like water really make a difference. And we just thought, man, nobody's doing this. Like, not many people anyway, like very few people are doing this or specialize in this. Maybe there's an opportunity here. So 2020, we changed our name from Fontana Landscapes to Fontana Ponds and Water Features. And sort of, you know, we had already been doing almost exclusively water features for maybe 2 years before that, 2018, 2019. But 2020, we changed our name, and it was like, all right, we're not taking on any hardscape. We're just doing water features, you know, unless there's like a small patio or something next to the waterfall or whatever, or next to the pond. But yeah, and that's the best thing we've done for sure.
So you done a couple of water features. Really, in 2017, you kind of got rid of the maintenance. 2018, you really started focusing on the water features. 2020, you changed your name, and 2021, you became an Aquascape Artist of the Year.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That was cool. We're really grateful, man. Yeah.
So we just came back a month ago, a little over a month ago, from the first ever Aquascape Artist Consortium, where all of the artists, every single past artist, yourself included, along with every single regional representative, got together in Chicago for 3 days of basically brainstorming, networking, people sharing, you know, what their version of the art was. For those people that weren't there, of course, I'll put links into all of the Team Aquascape vlogs that was at. How would you describe that experience for yourself, being with fellow artists, and also a little bit about how talented some of these new guys up, just like you came in and at a pretty high level, you know, 4 years after you really focused on water features to becoming an Artist of the Year, and we're seeing these new guys coming in. What's your perception of what's going on out there and how people are getting so good so fast, yourself included?
Yeah, well, there's no doubt that without the amount of videography and YouTube stuff and all the content that Aquascape and other Artists of the Year were putting out, that will speed up your entire learning. That'll give you 10 years easy.
Yeah.
There's no doubt there. Seeing the other regional Artist of the Year was actually really humbling because I'm like, man, some of these guys' work is on another level. And so, you know, there's a bit of gratitude that thankfully we won this thing already. Like, it's you know, it allows us the privilege to continue to get involved in these events and to learn more, and hopefully, you know, to teach. You know, we want to give back. Like Dan and I have been we've been gifted this industry and you know, this passion for the artistry of water features, and then all the tools to make it happen. You kind of at some point you want to give that back. You can't just keep it all to yourself, right? So, you know, I'm happy to be part of it. If there's any way I can help people, I'd always love to get involved. Definitely trying that more locally, but and you know, that's kind of stick to our area and see if we can help there. But we're really grateful for it, and it was an unbelievable event.
Well, I would agree wholeheartedly. For those who are serious and passionate, as you guys were, I mean, the information is out there if you want to do your homework. And of course, it's a passion. So doing your homework and watching what other people are doing and how they're doing it. You know, when the student was ready, the teacher arrived, goes the phrase. And if you're eager, there's an unlimited amount of information that didn't exist 10 years ago out there on the
100%.
artistry of what it is that we do.
Yeah, and you can just take videos, you can pause them, you can look at people's rock work, and then you can start to mimic it. And I always say you try to mimic other people's stuff, and you'll find your own style in there. You'll
Right.
you'll take the bits that you like from somebody's work, and maybe leave the bits that aren't totally your style, and everybody comes up with their own version of it, and that's what makes you unique, and that's what makes us sell our projects uniquely to the customers that want us. They're not picking between this guy is better quality or that, you know, if you find there's some quality contractors around, so you're allowing people to choose you on the basis of your artwork, and that allows you to probably be a little bit more profitable and at the same time spend more time on that project and give somebody a better end result. So I think it just helps everybody, the customers and the other contractors around.
It seems like you've really found your stride and kind of, your niche with water features. And you had a lot of, I know, you texted me after your artist thing and you just were just so happy for the career that you found that you didn't always have when you were doing, commercial lawn maintenance and stuff. How would you describe, as a guy who, back in 2011, just started doing this as a side hustle on your way to what you thought you would be your career, to pivoting and basically focusing on water features? What is the difference for people that are out there that are in a similar boat to maybe you were with full service, maintenance and service firm? What is it that has gotten you so passionate and appreciative, really, about the ability to bring your art to people, that makes it so that it's, that you're not flying airplanes, you're not doing traditional landscaping maintenance anymore, you're just a pond guy now?
You know, nothing wrong with cutting grass. Like you can be passionate about that, and you can find a way to be passionate about anything, especially growing a business, which is what I wanted to do. And I found that I maybe, I don't know if I didn't have the skills or maybe the lack of energy to put together a larger business, but then I realized that when I built a water feature, I felt proud of what I had done. And when you realize you can, you told me about this book, I think it's called Little Giants or something
Yeah,
of that.
Bo
What's it called?
Burlingham, Small Giants.
Small Giants. That's it. You know, when you realize, so I read that book after seeing you in Utah, or I listened to the audiobook anyway. And it was incredible because you start to realize that we don't have to grow this gigantic business. Like, I like being in the field, and I'm having some struggles with that with some of my health issues going on too. But besides that, the idea is that you don't have to grow this big business. You can have a small business that can make ends meet for a family that you can be proud of. And at the end of the day, when I don't know if this is weird, but when I told people, yeah, I'm a landscaper, I cut grass, I didn't have that much pride behind it. But when I tell people I build custom water features or I build koi ponds, I know they don't understand what I'm saying, but I'm already proud. And the second I get to show somebody, yeah, like we built this or we built that, people are like, dang. Or when you leave a customer's house and they're like once in a while in tears or just ecstatic about what you've done. And on the flip side, when I get to leave a project, and this is, I'm very competitive specifically with myself. So when I get to leave a project and say, man, I wish I could do this better on the next one, there's never a ceiling. Like, there's never an artistic ceiling. Like, we're always going to be trying to get better and better because there's no defined top, right? And I think that's what kind of motivates me to keep going. That's why I find water features such an incredible career in this.
Well, yeah, of course I knew, because I could finish your sentences for you because I discovered this a long time ago. But
Yeah,
my pride is seeing what people are doing with my baby, which is this concept of ecosystem water features and working with Mother Nature. And I'm
yes,
so proud of Ed and Brian, my longest teammates. But then seeing relatively new people that have come into this business and had so much success, that gives me great pride. Talk a little bit about the relationship that you guys were friends and but having different businesses and then coming together, and how you and Dan have successfully navigated a partnership, which is not easy to do, and
no.
where you guys have different skill sets. I mean, you're both still in the field together, but just talk a little bit about how that works, because I think it's a good yin and a yang in many ways in your business, that you guys have found a natural groove.
Yeah, so I've been really fortunate to have found Dan and to be working together. Dan and I are very different in personality. So that's good, but it's not different enough where we clash ever. I think we're both pretty easy going for the most part.
Yeah,
And
yes.
so that helps, because if it's just too different, people clash. The one thing I would say is, like, don't ever touch a penny without the other guy knowing. Number one, on the business side of things, like, you have to have integrity every day. The other thing is similar vision. For the most part, we have the same goal. Sometimes we try to go about it in different ways, and we have to make compromises, and I have to be aware that sometimes I'm a little bit relentless, like, hey, I really want to do this, I really want to do this, and sometimes I need to be like, hey, you know what, he said he wants to do it this way, maybe I need to go his route this time, even if I don't agree. I'm sure he doesn't agree with me every time, and so we have to let each other have that moment there. And
Compromise.
yeah, compromise. Yeah. Dan, and we split things up. I mean, we're a 3-person company. So we have one employee, Gareth, who and he's fantastic. What that allows us to do is I do all the sales, and pretty much all the marketing and sales is kind of my domain. Dan does a lot of the, some invoicing. He
Yeah.
takes care of all the bills. He takes care of all that stuff. So we split the office work and we split the on-site work. I'll come out there and I'll set rock on a job site for a little bit. And when you start to lose some creative energy, all right, let me hop in the excavator. Dan starts to set rock. A lot of times what we do on like larger waterfalls, longer waterfalls, is I'll set one waterfall the way I see it, and then he sets the next waterfall the way he sees it. And that allows for a bit of variety, because I can get stuck in sort of, this is the tried and true frame rock, spill away, nice sheep falls. And he might be like, hey, let's make water kind of twist over this, and that allows us to come up with a different look on each falls from time to time, right? So we trade off on that quite a bit. Yeah, it's just kind of about going back and forth and what's best for the company in the end. We both obviously want to make money, and we both want to do well by the client. So as long as we both have that as the number one thing, then I think we're good.
So two owners, one teammate that's been with you, what, 2 years now?
Yeah.
And what kind of revenue is a 3-man operation able to generate? How This is January in British Columbia. Are you able to get out this time of year? Is it warm enough to still work, or just depends on the weather?
Oh, it's definitely warm enough to work. It's pretty rainy. January, November, December, January are like very rainy. So we've
Yeah.
had, yeah, the revenue wise, we're doing consistently around $1 million. Last year we had our best year yet. We did 1.3 last year, just north of 1.3. Three
A
guys.
three man operation, which is pretty unheard of in this landscaping industry, to be able to be generating over $400,000 per
Yeah,
per worker, which is astronomical numbers. But the
yeah,
reason that you can charge that much is you're creating art for people. So you're not bidding by caliber size of plants, or by square footage, by hardscapes. You're bidding by your artistic interpretation of what it would be to pull off a project in terms of the amount of man hours and the
yeah.
materials used.
Yeah, and efficiency. We're pretty machine oriented. So there's 3 of us, but we have 3 machines. So we have a mini excavator that can get into any backyard. We have another, it's kind of like a dingo, but I think it's the better version of it. But it's essentially moves material in and out of backyards for us. And then we have a larger 6-ton or 5.5-ton excavator for all the bigger jobs. And so, we definitely, we don't dig a reservoir by hand anymore, ever. And I'm not saying that to be like, oh, we're too good for that. It's just that at some point you start to realize, like, your body can only handle so much. It's just better. You're going to make more money if you have machinery, and the machinery is always there. It's hard to find employees, so you can count on it. And to be honest with you, I'm sure Gareth wouldn't be sticking around for 2 years if we were making him hand dig everything all day. Like, it's also fun for new employees coming in to say, hey, like, we get to play with machines, we get to sling rocks, we get to build something cool. So I think it's all encompassing. I'm big on machinery.
And you
Yeah.
talked about your health issues. You want to keep
Yes.
at this game, and you got a back that you just got worked on.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. And I'm not even sure if I might need a second surgery. I'm not entirely sure. We're going in for another MRI this week, because the recovery hasn't been what we thought, and still some issues. So I'm going to plug away and try to stay in the field, because I do enjoy it. And then at the same time, 36. If I can't be in the field anymore, then Dan and I have some conversations to figure out how we can pivot so that maybe we can grow a little bit more. We want to grow maintenance, so we do want to grow that division. So maybe I go into full-time sales and managing projects. So we're working through that, right? These aren't easy decisions to make.
No, are you, let me ask you this, with your back, are you able to get out on your snowboard?
I wish.
Oh,
I missed
oh, you're
snowboarding all
killing me.
year. I didn't even get to take the kids.
Oh,
And we've had a bad snow year. It's been pretty warm this year. It's that El Nino warm year that we get every few years, and there's just not a lot of snow on the mountains. So yeah, next year I'll hopefully be a little bit better. We can do another Utah trip, right?
amen, amen. And Whistler is still one of our favorite places to visit. So I'd love to get on a little tour too. So good
Yeah,
luck with the
very cool.
back.
Yeah.
You talked a little bit about giving back, and this is a pretty cool story. The nursing home, was it last May that you hosted a regional event in Vancouver at the nursing home that we visited? I think it was maybe the 8th water feature you built there. Tell a little bit about that story.
Yeah. So this what is it? Regional event.
Yep.
So we got to host that at probably our one of our just favorite clients. It's a large retirement facility. It is just one of the best run places I've ever seen. I mean, these people, they take the word like caretaking seriously. And we got to build some really cool projects there. One of our largest ponds to date was built there 2 years ago. We built multiple other small little water features for different areas. And then we got to host this regional event. And, the staff there and the residents there are just so grateful. So to be able to sort of donate something for a customer that has already spent so much with, not just us, but through us or Aquascape as well, I just think it was perfect. And, when I drive by there, I drive by there, probably every couple months, I just kind of drive through. There's always people around the big water feature we built. There's always people around the new pond that got put in at that event. And so that was really cool. And then to see all these contractors, I mean, I've kept in touch with some of these local guys that are in the lawn business, and they're starting to do more water features. And one of them just came out to see you, I think recently, or
Oh, yes.
great guy.
Yes.
Yeah,
Tyler.
it's
Taylor.
is it there's maybe there's a Taylor, there's another guy named Shane who just came out to one of the hands-on training, and it's just cool, like it's easy, you can look at it as competition, but at the same time, like, there's plenty of work. We live in a large city, we're not right up in each other's neck of the woods. And I can see this guy is like thinking, oh man, like, I really like water features, maybe I need to reconsider and do more of these or whatever. And to see that light bulb go off in somebody else's head, kind of like it did in mine and Dan's, is pretty cool.
Well, I know that Gord, who is your, since 2003 in British Columbia for Aquascape, he's your territory sales manager.
Yeah.
And I think you heard this, but he said to me after the Vancouver regional event that, you organized and were the certified Aquascape contractor, he said that was his favorite week in his history of working at Aquascape, and he's been with me since 2003.
Well, that's pretty cool. I heard it was one of his favorite events, but he didn't tell me that. It's really nice to hear that he told you that.
And it wasn't easy though. Like, you had to move the water feature like 2 times or 3 times or something. Like,
yeah,
it sounded like every problem in the book you could have possibly ran into on that project you did.
Yeah. There was like unmarked electrical that we pretty much hit. I mean, that was actually pretty scary. So, yeah, there was a lot of challenges, but we rose above it. And then, we had Chris Hansen came out. I'd never really spent much time with Chris. I mean, that guy is a machine, and he's like, he's just such a genuine dude too. So it was just really fun I just thought he was the perfect individual to come up and lead this. So I really enjoyed it. But we got to, I got to work with Chuck. I've always wanted to work with Chuck. He's put in a ton of water features in his day. We talked to him a lot, just to spec stuff out. We got to hang out with Derek. And then of course, Gord. I mean, I talked to Gord quite a bit. Gord is, he becomes more like a friend than just like professional relationship. I feel like and he does this with everybody. He just establishes that real relationship where you just feel like, hey, I can call him if I have an issue with something, or I can call him if I need advice on something, and that's pretty rare for a lot of sales guys, I think. So he's a phenomenal addition to Aquascape.
Let's go there for a second. Talk a little bit about the relationships, because people that aren't with Aquascape, that are just I call them kind of lone wolves out there because there really isn't outside of Aquascape. Everybody else just kind of manufactures products and says, buy my product. I don't really talk about my products. I talk obviously, about the lifestyle and stuff. But as a person who is relationship oriented yourself and has experienced Aquascape, how would you describe that culture and the value that it brings to you in your business up there in British Columbia, you and Dan?
Yeah, well, I think first and foremost, the relationships are awesome, and we're still developing some of those. Like we're just starting to kind of plug in, like the fact that you can, these people are approachable. That I can sit with Ed at a table at the Shaquille O'Neal build and just hang out and chat with them. And it doesn't even have to be about pond stuff. Sometimes it's life stuff, And I just don't understand how you run a business and you just power through by yourself without running things by somebody else or changing your mind because somebody else gave you a different perspective. I can only imagine it would take way longer and it'd be way more headaches. So we don't want to reinvent the wheel, and Aquascape has offered more than just products. That's a guarantee.
That was a good example of the Shaquille O'Neal build that we did this last year.
Yeah.
And, you and Dan came down and we dealt with, basically what we were able to accomplish in 5 days with a dream team of 27 artists of the year and their right hand guys out in Shaquille O'Neal's property in Atlanta. I don't think, I think we moved 1,000,000 pounds of rock that week.
Jeez. When I first got there, I looked at that hole and I was like, we're not getting it. There's no way we're getting this done. And you know what? If it would have rained, we may have not gotten it done. But we got lucky, and it wasn't even that hot. Yeah, it was. I've just never seen a team effort like that. That was one of the first. That was the first real Aquascape build we've been to as well. So I've seen lots of the videos of it. Ironically, that was the first build we've ever been to. So
wow, I didn't realize that. That's pretty cool. So you not only hosted a regional event, but then you attended an invite only event at Shaquille O'Neal's, and that was in 2023. Was your first time experiencing that, huh?
Exactly. Yeah. I think we went to Shaq's and we came back, and like 3 weeks later we did the regional build. So it was Shaq's first, and it was, to see 4 or 5 excavators in little stations, and then just it's like an army of ants. Just everybody's moving at all times. It was awesome. So I had a great time there. I think everybody did, and we bunked up with the Aussie guys, and we just had a blast with those guys, and it was a really good time getting to know everybody. So yeah, it was good.
Well, that's interesting. So I learned something new. Of course, I just assumed that you had been at one of the other events, but it takes a lot of energy and a lot of work to put on the amount of work that we do. This year is going to be less regional builds. We had 9 regional builds last year. This year we only have 3, but we have our big event, Pandemonium. What was your first Pandemonium, and how would you describe that to somebody that hasn't been to Pandemonium?
Pandemonium was insane. The first one we went to was 2019, and we were just blown away by just how many people are there. Like it's a pretty large event. I think there was what's the guy from Ghana? Is it Nico or?
Oh yes,
you had the Brazilian guys there too from Genesis that year, and I was like, man, there's a lot of people from around the world here. Like it's not, guys. Like I just thought it was a really unique event. Obviously we didn't know a whole lot of people, so we slowly started to try to get to know people in that event, and it was great. And then we didn't do 2020 or 2021, so we went back last year for our second Pandemonium, or 2022 or whatever that was.
Yeah.
And there, it was a little bit better the second Pandemonium, just because we got to bring Gareth and he got to experience it. At that point I had been interacting with more people through Instagram and Facebook and stuff, and so there was guys that I was looking forward to meeting in person that, I didn't really know in 2019. So I think 2019 was a bit quieter. It was unbelievable, but we were just kind of like, this is a lot of people. Holy crap. Like we don't know anybody. 2022, as you start to get more involved in the tribe, like, there's a sense of camaraderie there. Like you're both, everybody's out in the field. So I don't know. I thought it was fantastic. I'm looking forward to this year. I think this year is going to be awesome. I love the every 2-year format too.
Yeah, it's such a big event to do, and we have the regional events on off years. But let's talk about that, because by the time this first longer format podcast, thanks Diego, comes out, people will have heard the announcements about Pandemonium, and what the agenda is. Have you been on the private Artist of the Year Facebook group this morning?
I read it this morning about 30 minutes before I popped in here, just in case.
Trying to herd cats, and people are like, oh, I'm going to come in on Sunday. Well, Sunday's the day I'm going to put you on stage. So we're going to start off with I think it's the 17th, August 17th. We start off with a pond tour, and that'll be both the self-guided for people that have friends and know that and want to go and control their own pace, and then also a bus tour for first-time attendees or people that don't want to drive. So that's just a great opportunity to go out and visit the ponds in Chicago. And then I was inspired by all of the artists of the year and the regional winners of the year when we did the Artist Consortium, with them breaking down and actually kind of defining how they have come up with their art, some of the things that we've talked about earlier in this podcast. And so on Sunday, every past artist, yourself included, thank you very much. Hopefully the guys that are driving in on their motorcycles will come in on Saturday versus Sunday. You can't make this stuff up. And that's so we've got 12 past artists of the year that all be doing 30-minute segments showcasing their work and how they have come up with their style. And then what I'm most excited about, and all of it has it's a really going to be a unique experience with all the different activities. But on Monday, that's the time for the past artists to actually build at Aqualand whatever kind of style that they want in their style, the waterfall building contest. And so you and Dan and Gareth, and if you wanted any other people, that's up to you to choose, or just the three of you. But you have that opportunity to build upon this waterfalls while other people are taking pictures and watching and seeing how you guys work poetry in motion. How excited are you for that?
I am excited for that. Yeah, that's going to be awesome. I mean, something I've definitely had even at Shaquille O'Neal's, like you start setting rock, and when it's just us, you can question yourself, and you can kind of push through it and figure it out and what you want to see. When a lot of the people you look up to are staring at you, and other people who are fantastic at building water features, it's a little nerve-wracking. So
yes,
I think that we'll have lots of fun doing it. I think it'll be good. So how long are these? 10 feet, 15 feet long kind of thing?
This was all, of course, Brian. He's in charge of those areas. But it's going to be 3 feet tall. You're going to be at least 15 feet by 15 feet. So that's the kind of the approximate dimensions.
Space. Yeah, perfect.
That we have right now. But I think for me, the number one thing that I'm excited about is people learn so much just from observing and watching.
Yeah.
And just seeing the process and seeing a guy that's a true artist like yourself and Dan, step back and how you analyze a project. And then the cool thing is the opportunity afterwards, for the interviews and to be able to discuss this, so that you could actually, because every one of these is going to be time lapsed, everyone's going to be, so for Instagram and Facebook and YouTube, to be able to showcase that work for other people that are all over the world, what you're doing, and people will relate to different artists. This is art, right? You're going to relate to different types of things. For me, the opportunity that we now have, which is endless with smartphones and with, social media and connections, we can now share our passions, and this has now become your passion just like mine, with the rest of the world and inspire them. And like you said, that was so evident to all of us with the regional winners, is they're going to push you. They're going to push your game up. So it's, the status quo is not going to be the status quo for long, because the bar is continuously being elevated by our peers.
It's going to be awesome. So I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully I have all my back stuff figured out by then. I assume I will. Yeah, I think it's going to be really good. So,
well, this was a longer format, not the 20-minute limits that I did, kind of just, a discussion, which is what you said you wanted. Is there anything else that you would like to add or share with those that you could potentially be inspiring?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's just, this is a fantastic industry. We're just really grateful that we found it. And I hope that somebody else hears this, and if they can relate to anything, I hope that encourages them to maybe pursue this as well. And the biggest thing for me is that, we have a good team, and we get to really just try to engage with Aquascape and learn from these people, that you guys that have taught us so much. So we're just really grateful. I don't know if I have anything else really. I just thought we'd chat.
Well, you know what? Some people will have been following you guys for a long time and see this. Other people will be exposed for the first time. They'll be put up in comments. I'm going to post these on the CAC page and then on. But thank you for encouraging me to do a longer format and being the first, since you opened your mouth, guinea pig on this. I think it was great. I certainly enjoyed doing it. and it's good just seeing your face in here. And I guess the next time we'll see each other, we'll be at Pondemonium building the waterfalls together.
You got it, Greg. Thanks for everything, man. Catch up soon.
All right, buddy. Take care.
All right, you too. See ya.
Bye bye.
Bye.